Hello, everyone, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and welcome to the review of X-Men 97, Season 2, Episode 5, entitled Weapon X Lies in DVDs. How is everybody doing out there? I hope that this episode is finding everybody doing just swell out there in the universe. I am excited to talk about this new episode of X-Men 97 Season 2. I said on my last week's review of Episode 4, I'm enjoying the season so far, even though I can acknowledge that this season doesn't hold the same emotional impact of the previous season, Season 1. I still am enjoying this show for all of his X-Men glory, all of his mutant glory, because it is still X-Men, you know, even though we don't have that same flair in the writing that we got last season. We're still following this story really well. Last week's episode 4, was the closest we got to what we've got last season as far as emotional impact that can rival season 1's episode 5 on Genosha, where we saw the demise of Gambit, and it was up there. It was up there with it. We saw the vaporizing of Magneto and Charles being just shooed away by Apocalypse, and Apocalypse rising to power. It was a very, very good episode. And so I already went into this week knowing that we weren't going to get back-to-back gut punches as far as depth of story. Well, I would say this. Yeah, it wasn't a gut punch per se, but this was a brutal episode. This is somewhat of a sequel to the first iteration of X-Men, the animated series. They had an episode on that. I couldn't tell you what season it was, but it was Weapon X Lies and Videotapes. And this is a rip off of a film that came out in the 90s. I think it was Steven Soderbergh, if I'm not mistaken. Sex Lies and Videotapes. And so it was weird back then to see that pop up in a quote unquote cartoon, that would be the title of an episode, even though they replaced sex with Weapon X. It was still kind of funny. And so we get to this year in 2026, season 2 of 97, and it's upgraded again with Weapon X Lies in DVDs, because around 97, I think that's when DVDs started to come into play. I could be mistaken. I think it was. Oh, it could have been sooner than that. I don't know. I'm getting old, people. I'm getting old. I remember VHSs, okay? I remember Betamaxes. I remember all that. But it's enough about me. This was a really good episode. This was a Wolverine-centric episode, and we pick up right after last week's episode in that post-credit scene, a little tease, where Captain America and Black Widow hands Wolverine that Weapon X file. And he told Steve Rogers that, you know, he's getting the gang back together, or the band back together, I should say, to go invade Weapon X. And so there's a run in the comics I remember reading where this took place with Team X. They went off to exact revenge on that program, but this wasn't an adaptation of that run. I think it was Grant Morrison who wrote that. It's different, but this was cool. This was more of an homage to horror movies from the 1980s and 90s, if you will. We got The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing references. We got Aliens references. There's another one that I'm blanking on right now, but it was some real cool homages to those horror films, because this episode turned into a horror show once our heroes, and I put quotations around that, got to their destination, Team X, this is the team that Wolverine assembled to go with him on this mission, and that consisted of Lady Deathstrike, Kane, Maverick, Sabretooth, and Morph. He came along for the ride for that emotional support, I guess you could say, for Logan, because we know how Morph is, should we say, smitten by Wolverine? he is. He loves Wolverine. He loves him, and it goes deeper than friendship, besties. If you remember, if you ever watched the original, if you're old enough like me to have watched the animated series in the actual 90s, you know that Morph was there for one episode, and that was the pilot. He was there for one episode. And after that, Wolverine really was losing his mind. You know, he wanted to search for Morph, up to the point where him and Cyclops went fisticuffs over it, because Cyclops left Morph behind. You know, that's how deep of a friendship that they had. At least it was implied friendship back then. But now it's more Morph now. We don't get that sense from Wolverine, even though he does love and respect him as a partner and an ally. But it goes deeper than that when it comes to Morph. I love it. I love that dynamic. You think back to last season when Magneto, and they showed the flashback of that scene when Magneto ripped the animanium out of Wolverine, and he was laid up in the bed, and Morph was the only one sitting at his bedside, and Wolverine had called out for Jean. He called out to the woman that he actually loves, and Morph heard that, and you could see the look on his face. Well, not really, because he literally has a blank look, but he morphed into Jean Grey and talked to Wolverine like, you can get through this. You know, it was heartbreaking. That was a heartbreaking scene, you know. But in any event, yeah, he was there to be a pilot and support Wolverine. And so Wolverine had, how he got everybody together, he told them that Dr. Cornelius had resurfaced and was up to no good. And this is the same doctor who experimented on Team X. So they all have a vendetta against him. But we all knew that wasn't the reason why Wolverine wanted to go to this Weapon X facility. He wanted his animanium back. So the team, they find Dr. Cornelius in this underground base that housed the Weapon X program, or the Weapon X project. And they quickly learned that he's not the problem. he isn't the issue. Instead, the good doctor, he takes this monstrous form, and he becomes one of the Brood. It was something like a xenomorph from Aliens, you know, that other reference. And it was just freaky, man. On top of the fact that they had to fight these wild animals who were infected with this Brood virus or whatever it is. So after this, the group, they split up. They discovered Omega Red. He's still alive in this test tube. Wolverine, he ends up getting infected by the Brood, and he butchers Maverick. He butchers him. And while doing this, they accidentally unleash Omega Red. And so as the Brood is unable to survive this animanium bonding, Morph comes up with the idea that, you know, they lure Logan into the little container or wherever that can rebond him with the animanium and purge this DNA of the Brood. And so they succeed at that mission, and while Logan is going through this procedure, Omega Red, he busts in like a monster, bro, and rips up. Bro, that was a cool scene when he busts in there and rips them things apart, the Brood apart, as he enters their room. So as he's about to wipe out the remaining members of this squad that Wolverine puts together, Wolverine, he reemerges now with his antimanium merged with his bones. So he's back to having his sniffs instead of the ripping of the skin now when those claws come out. So as they escape, Morph is talking to Logan, and Logan is excited. He's happy because he has his animanium back, and he's all cheery. And Morph is like, man, I'm paraphrasing all this, but he's like, bro, the whole team got wiped out. And Wolverine was like, okay, well, he was nonchalant about it, and that really put a lot of things in perspective for Morph. And I think he lost a little respect for Wolverine in that moment because it was a selfish move. He sacrificed those people just for selfish reasons. And that's how the episode leaves off. I thought this was a really good episode. Real tight storytelling here. Just a little side mission to kind of get our bearings back after what took place in episode 4. This episode, it really it makes space for some solid development, a solid character development, I should say. In particular, Morph. I started off by saying that this was a Wolverine-centric episode, but after thinking about it, this really was Morph's episode. It was really about him and his journey throughout this episode, and him rediscovering some things and discovering that he needs to look at things a little differently when it comes to Wolverine. And is Wolverine really on the level? Is he really the type of person that would be willing to sacrifice his friends? Now, granted, nobody on that team were quote unquote friends of Wolverine, but with the exception of Lady Deathstrike, I guess you could say, because at one point they were a couple. At least they were in the comics. And aside from that, Sabretooth isn't his buddy. The other ones were more annoying than anything. So that they weren't like essential. He wouldn't do that with the actual X-Men or anything, and especially Morph. He wouldn't do that, but it really left a sour taste in Morph's mouth as we left off, I should say, this episode. Keep in mind, Morph isn't from the comics. He's probably in the comics now, probably made canon, but Morph was created for the animated series. That's a original character for the show. He's based off of a character, I think Changeling, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's based off of that character, and why they just didn't use that character in the show, I don't know, but it's cool. It's just exciting that they gave a character that didn't exist in the comics up to the time of the animated series this much development. And it's kind of in the vein of Harley Quinn from Batman the animated series. Wasn't a comic book character that was she was created for the show and became uber popular, like one of the most popular DC characters to date. And so it's one of those things that happens with these kind of shows. Now, I'm not comparing Morph to Harley Quinn. I'm not going that far. I'm just saying the similarities, how these characters were created. But this was a cool episode because he didn't have a clean arc, in this episode, a clean story arc, but he's better for it. It's definitely an impactful arc because going forward, you would imagine he's going to be a different character. He's going to look at things differently. He's going to look at Logan differently. And I'm excited to see the dynamic between Wolverine and Morph going forward in season 2 and beyond. I would like to know, did you enjoy episode 5, Weapon X lies in DVDs? I thought this was a really, really good episode. They all been really, really good. I mean, this is amazing, bro. It's amazing that a show can pick up 30 years later and still have that same oomph that it did 30 years ago, if not better. It didn't change anything. It just improved upon. And, you know, I champion things like this because you don't normally see things like this in film and television. You know, when they remake things, they want to add their little flair to it, change up the character's dynamic, their motivations that were different from the original, and you don't appreciate it like you did the first time you watched it. But for this show, they managed to keep that same energy, and I am so impressed, and just add on with the depth of character development and emotional impacts and things of that nature that, yeah, preteens and teenagers would appreciate, because I don't recommend this show for toddlers. I mean, come on, let's be real. You really want to sit a 6-7-year-old kid down and watch this? Now, don't get me wrong. I know kids gonna be kids. They're gonna find a way to watch it anyway, because I did. But if my parents only knew the things that I watched when I was around that age 7, 8, 9, it'll blow their minds. Things I had no business watching. But it is what it is. But I can't do it voluntarily. As a parent, I would not voluntarily sit my young child down to watch X-Men 97. Not because I'm a prude or anything like that, or holy roly, nothing like that. It's a cartoon. I feel this is more adult or young adult aimed show, and that's the demographic that we're shooting for here. Not little kids, you know. If they get exposed to something like that, let them walk in on a movie, you know, and see that. They shouldn't have to see it in a cartoon or an animated show. That's just my humble opinion. Once again, I'm not a prude. I'm just saying. It's kind of weird. But besides all that, I want to know your thoughts about episode 5. Are you enjoying the season so far? We're at the midway point, aren't we? How many episodes this season? I think 9. So we're just past the midway point. So it's full steam ahead. It's all downhill from here. I would like to know your thoughts. You can subscribe to the KBRadioNetwork.com website, where you get notified of all new episodes dropping on the network, as well as YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube. Like this video while you're there. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of X-Men 97, Season 2, Episode 5, Weapon X Lies in DVDs. Want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.